Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Miss Robinson. I just wanted to do a quick Google Drawings tutorial for anybody who isn't very familiar with Google Drawings or how to work it. It is very similar to Google Slides. There's the same functionality. The toolbar should even look really familiar to you. So if you've used Google Drawings or Google Slides, Google Docs, all of them really have similar functionality, but I just wanted to review it in case anybody found it helpful. So for your wanted poster, there are no exact size requirements, but my recommendation for my students would be to make it the size of a normal piece of computer paper, which is an 8.5 by 11. So we can't really tell as we open Google Drawings on the screen, you kind of get this checkerboard piece of sort of paper to work with here. So we're going to change the size just so we know how big it is and what we're working with. So if you go over to File over here, hit the drop down and you scroll down to Page Setup, that is going to allow you to change the size. So this is the size of a standard slide. So you can see the different slide sizes down here if you were using like a Google slide in a presentation, but we're going to hit this custom button because we want to work in sizes of paper. We figured that would be a little bit easier. So if you hit custom, you can change the unit over here. So if you want to make pixels, centimeters, but inches is going to be the easiest because then what we can do is we can make this an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is the normal size for a blank piece of computer paper. So if we hit apply, that's going to change our screen here to a normal size of computer paper. And notice that this is a portrait setup. So if you want your wanted poster to be upright, if you want it to be kind of portrait style here, you can do that. Or if you want landscape, what you can do is you go back into page setup in the custom settings and you just switch these two numbers. So it would be an 11 for the width, and for height here, you can see if you hover it over it, it tells you what it's going to be. Is 8.5. So 11.5 or 11 by 8.5, excuse me. And you can make it landscape. So I'm going to hit undo because I think I want my wanted poster example to be portrait. If you see like missing posters and things like that, like if somebody's missing a cat, a lot of them tend to be portraits. So we're going to make our wanted poster look like that. So our background here is what we call a transparent background. So that means if I printed this out right now, it would just print out as a blank piece of paper. So these checkerboards aren't actually here. They're just showing you that there's been no color applied. But since we aren't going to be printing this out, we'll be just submitting this on Google Classroom. Let's make it colorful. So the easiest way to do that is to add a shape. So if you go up here, you can see I have one kind of over here that's pre-made, but I'll show you how I got that. So you're going to add a shape using the toolbar up here and add a rectangle because that's the size of the paper we're dealing with. So what you're going to do is you click and drag all the way down, and these blue lines will tell you that you're even with your size of paper that you're working with. Release, and it auto defaults to this blue square. So you can see that's the color that the shape is filled with. So if we make it transparent, we're going to see those little kind of gray check marks again. So we can change it to whatever color we like. As you see, I made this kind of custom parchment paper color. So let's do that. And that's what I had over here. So we can delete that. So now I have this kind of parchment paper color. You don't have to add any other additional images, just making it colorful, making it kind of appealing to look at. But I found this cool wanted poster graphic. I'll show you how I got that. So again, making this look really nice is going to be part of your final grade because that'll make your information look more appealing. So in order to insert images, we're going to go over here and hit insert, kind of hover over image. I didn't click, and then we're going to go down to search the web. So this will bring up this Google image toolbar over here. And what I did is I just searched wanted, and then I searched the letters PNG. And what a PNG is it's a transparent background. So that means there's not going to be any background to the image. It'll just be the image itself. So as you can see, a bunch of different things come up here. I don't want any that aren't really relevant. So we're going to look through all these kind of images and see which ones we like. And let's say I wanted maybe this little stamp here. I could hit insert and it'll create my image. So now I have this like cool little wanted stamp that I could add to my project. So I had found this one earlier, so I'll click and drag this over here. And you notice that it goes behind this kind of taupe colored square. So what we're going to have to do is reorder this image. Or what we can do is we can take this brown rectangle and send it to the back. So if we do order and send to back, that will send that all the way backwards. And what we can do is bring this wanted poster forwards. Hopefully that worked. There we go. And then what we can do is make that bigger. So now the wanted poster is the thing that is sitting on top of this kind of rectangle we're working with here. We can resize it a little bit so it looks nice. And there we go. We have this cool wanted graphic. So over here, I have this picture of Martin Luther. You're supposed to select one person that you want to create this project about. So these are the instructions that you should have received from your teacher. So you're going to have a bunch of different people. I'll just be completing for Martin Luther because that's pretty easy. So now it's time to think about what information we have to have on this graphic, on this Google drawing. So somewhere I'm going to have to include Martin Luther's date of birth, his height and weight. If that's tough for some of these, you just got to come close. So you can find pictures of them and then maybe use the pictures to describe them. So from over in this picture that I had, I could describe Martin Luther as fair. He has brown hair. He has brown eyes, right? You can kind of use your powers of deduction there to figure out what your person looks like. Some characteristics, so describing their personality, their interests, attributes. So describe who they are, what makes them specifically special, and then looking for who wants them. Why are we creating a wanted poster for this person? So let's start with some of this information. I'll think about where I'm going to put it. So let's say I want to put my Martin Luther picture somewhere on here, right? So use a picture of who we want. And then what you can do is add different text boxes. So in order to add a text box, we hit the text box button, we click and drag, we can make it as big as we want. So let's make this text box here. We'll talk about his general description in this text box. So I'll put text there so I don't lose it. But it's kind of hard for me to see. I want to zoom in a little bit. So what you can do is you can use the zoom feature over here to zoom in so that you can see everything. Oh, there's Martin Luther, right? It's a little bit easier to see on this piece of paper. If I wanted to go back and work generally throughout the project again, I could go back to fit, and that would make it small so I can see the whole thing again. But I'm going to type, so I want to be able to see, and I'll strain my eyes. So back in my text box, I'm going to go ahead and create a description of Martin Luther. So you can always go through and change the font. If you want to add more fonts, you can go up to this More Fonts feature, and you can add all sorts of cool fonts rather than the ones that are just given to you. So all fonts, you can talk about, like handwriting fonts might look really cool on this project. So let me pick one. We will pick, let's see. How about this cool one? I like Sriracha because I like Sriracha. So we'll do that one. And now I have this really cool font that I can type with. So I can make it bold. I can underline it. Let's make it a little bigger, 24, and I'll center it. So we'll talk about description. And we can add all sorts of different information down here. Maybe make the font a little smaller again. And talk about all of the different things that we need to include. I'm also going to want to include the person's name at some point. This is something that you definitely don't want to forget. It's not on here, but you want to include who this person is. So I would include all sorts of information about Martin Luther, but I definitely don't want to forget his name on there somewhere. So we'll put in his height and weight. We can put in his date of birth, right? And all of this information should be bullet pointed. So remember, that doesn't mean we're copying and pasting, because that would be plagiarism. We want to do this for ourselves. So I'm going to make this up. This is not information you should use if you have Martin Luther. I'm going to say he weighs about 160 pounds and he's about 5'10". Again, I just made that up completely, so you should not copy that information. Date of birth, I'm going to say that he was born on February 14th. And again, you're going to have the year, you're going to have specific information. I made this up. You should not be using this. This is just for an example. So there's some basic information about him. Notice that I'm not writing incomplete sentences. You are bullet pointing this information. So that should be very short little sentences, short little descriptions of the person that you are talking about. So I need to also add his name. You can add that information anywhere really, but make sure that you don't forget to add the person's information. Add all sorts of little graphics here. And you're going to have a lot more words than I do, but this is just an example wanted poster that you can use to kind of use with the different functionalities of Google Drawings. So when it comes time to export this, you can obviously just put this into Google Classroom when you go have to submit this project, but you can also download the file. So I wanted to show you quickly how to download the file so that you can have all of that information in a PDF or other document. So if you hit File, Download, you can download a PDF of this file, and that's going to create this really nice little PDF document of your final work so that you can submit that on Google Classroom. All right, so that is our Google Drawings tutorial. If you have any other questions about Google Drawings, please feel free to reach out to your teacher. Use YouTube as a reference point. And there's all sorts of great tutorials about Google Drawings on YouTube from other sources as well. Good luck on your project, and please make sure to read through this description really carefully. There's all sorts of great information in there. Good luck.